Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends. Welcome to Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone, and thank you so much for joining me for my final countdown to Halloween segment. Happy Halloween to all of my fellow subscribers. This has been a 10-week project, something that I really am proud to have done, and I'm so happy that the reception has been as good as it has been for this segment. Counting down my top 100 horror movies of all time. It's been a heck of a trek, but we're finally here. This is my top 10, and here we'll just get into the countdown. So starting with number 10, it's going to go to Freddy vs. Jason. Freddy vs. Jason was like a 15-year waiting game. They started talking about Freddy vs. Jason when I was in high school, and it didn't come out until I was almost 30 years old. This film was just so fun to see opening night with a packed house and see all of these Freddy and Jason fans finally getting the film that we had wanted for so long. Yeah, I do have an issue with how Kane Hodder was treated and the fact that he didn't have the opportunity to come back and play Jason, which I still am angry about, but I do think Ken Kersinger did a great job. And of course, Robert Englund stepping back into the shoes of Freddy. This film is so much fun, you can't take it seriously. It's just fun, gory, lot of terrific kills. It never gets old. It's a movie that I always wanted. I think it's fantastic. I absolutely love Freddy vs. Jason. Number 9 on my list is going to go to John Carpenter's The Thing. Just a fantastic film, one that I've always appreciated, but within the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I've become a much bigger fan of. Everyone in the cast is fantastic. Of course, Kurt Russell as MacReady is just an icon. I love that character, but you also have terrific characters in Keith David, Wilford Brimley, Richard Mazur. I love the effects in this by Rob Bottin. They're absolutely terrifying and so well done. John Carpenter, I still think this is, next to Halloween, this is John Carpenter's best film. Cannot say enough great things about this film. I love the location, the atmosphere, its tension all the way through. Some terrific scares, some terrific set pieces. Just a fantastic film all around, and one that I never get tired of watching. Number 8 on my list is going to go to Fright Night. I absolutely love Fright Night. One of my favorite vampire films growing up. I still remember watching this on cable television for the first time in the summer of 1986, a year after it had been in theaters. I love all of the characters in this. Peter Vincent, Charlie Brewster, Jerry Dandridge, Evil Ed, of course. Everybody in this film is just, it's a wonderful film. It's really got a fun 80s vibe to it. It's a very 80s film. But all of the practical effects in this are amazing. And I absolutely love Tom Holland. I think this film is just such a masterpiece. Never gets old. I just absolutely love it, and it's always going to be one of my favorite vampire films of all time. Number 7 on my list is going to go to An American Werewolf in London. One of the scariest movies I ever saw growing up, but next to Salem's Lot, this one just floored me. I saw this in the movie theater with my dad, and I remember I was so scared of this film watching it. I kept my head down through most of it, especially the transformation scene and scenes where the werewolf is attacking people. It just was unlike anything I had ever seen before. I had no idea he was going to turn into this devil hound that was masterfully designed by Rick Baker and his crew. I mean, that look and that werewolf is still the most terrifying werewolf I've ever seen put on film. And I love the cast. I was so honored to have met David Naughton. One of the greatest thrills for me in my entire life. Where I was shaking talking to him because I was such a fan of his work in this film, and he couldn't have been a nicer person. But everybody in this, Jenny Agutter, Griffin Dunn, and the amazing direction by John Landis. This film still is so near and dear to me. I never get tired of watching it. It's my favorite werewolf film of all time, and is a complete masterpiece. Number 6 on my list is going to go to Jeepers Creepers. I love this film so much. It's just such a great film. I think the strength of this film is with the characters of Trish and Derry, the fact that they are brother and sister, and they play it so believably. You also have a fantastic monster in the Creeper, played by the amazing Jonathan Breck. The Creeper is such a fantastic movie monster. It's unlike anything we've seen in the past, and I think he's one of the true new icons of horror. I think this film is a masterpiece. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, number 5 for me is going to be a double up, and that is going to go to the original Halloween and Halloween 2. Halloween 2 was the first film I ever saw featuring Michael Myers. I didn't see the original Halloween until I was a little bit older, but I remember renting this film when I was about probably 10 years old. So I saw this one pretty young, and I love these two films because for me they're one story. They go together hand in hand. I have to watch them both together. They just go perfectly together. Cannot say enough great things about these films. Number 4 for me is going to go to Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. Easily one of the scariest and most brutal Friday the 13th films to be released. I think Ted White is the scariest actor to play Jason. He just brings, there's just something different than the way the other actors at this point had played the character. He plays him so much more brutally. There's just something almost like an animalistic quality to him in this, and just his attack on the Jarvis family and the kids that are next door to that house is still just so well done and so terrifying. Also love the cast in this. Fantastic actors. I love the setup with the Jarvis family as well. I think Corey Feldman was terrific as Tommy Jarvis. I love Kimberly Beck as Trish. I love both of them together. They're just fantastic in this film. Joe Zito did a terrific job. If this was going to be the cap off to the Friday the 13th franchise, I think it was fantastic. And Tom Savini coming back to do the makeup effects for killing Jason off, and he's the one that created the Jason look in the original. Cannot say enough great things about this film. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, number 3 for me is another double up. It's the final one, and that is going to go to Psycho and Psycho 2. Like Halloween and Halloween 2, these two films go hand in hand for me. I think they're terrific bookends. I love the original Psycho, directed by the master that is Alfred Hitchcock. This film is terrifying and still so well done. It's a masterpiece, and I still think the shower scene is one of the most terrifying scenes to ever be captured on film. Love about Psycho 2 is that it didn't try to copy the original. Terrific script by Tom Holland, directed masterfully by Richard Franklin, and then of course bringing back Tony Perkins as Norman Bates. Heartbreaking. It's scary. There's a terrific twist at the end that I absolutely love, and I just absolutely think this is a masterpiece. In fact, sometimes I put it above the original Psycho. I love this film. This was my introduction to the Psycho franchise. It will always be one of my favorite films of all time. It's an absolute fantastic film. Both of these films are terrific. So down to the final two. People that know me, these might not be surprises. So number 2 on my list is going to go to Jason Lives, Friday the 13th Part 6. Absolutely love this film. Had the honor of meeting C.J. Graham so many times, who played the iconic role of Jason Voorhees in this. He's easily still and will always be my favorite actor to play the part. Such an awesome guy. I don't know what it was about this film, but like I've said in the past when I've reviewed it, it just made me a fan of it really catapulted me to be a Jason fan. I was a passive fan before this, but this film really just made me love the character, and I just thought that CJ played him so well. He has a military background, and maybe there was just a different move to Jason in this film than the other actors that have played him. also love Tom Matthews in this. He's fantastic, and I had the honor of meeting him this year, which was fantastic. Awesome guy. And I just love the whole idea of the story that he tries to destroy Jason by burning his body only to revive him, and then the only way that they can stop him is by trapping him back in Crystal Lake where he had drowned before. I just love the story, and I love the fact that there's kids at the camp this time, that they've reopened it. There's some terrific action in this, and I love the ending. I think it's completely a kick-ass film. I know there's not a lot of blood or gore or nudity in this film, but it doesn't matter because it's a good story. Tom McLaughlin wrote and directed a fantastic film, and it's easily the best Friday the 13th of the bunch for me. And now my number one horror film of all time, and this should not surprise anyone, is Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot will always be my favorite horror film of all time. This film is the first film that ever terrified me. This is the film that I've been obsessed with since I was about 7 years old, when I finally was brave enough to watch it again after seeing it for the first time at 5 years old. This film means everything to me. I love everybody in this film. David Soul, James Mason, Bonnie Bedelia, Lance Kerwin, George Zenza, Jeffrey Lewis, Barney McFadden, Kenneth McMillan, Lou Ayres, Mary Windsor, Ed Flanders, and of course the amazing Reggie Nelder as Barlow. What I think is the most terrifying vampire ever put on film. For me, it never gets old. I could watch this film every day and never get bored. It's fantastic. I love the vampire effects. The kids floating outside the window are still terrifying. Mike Ryerson in the rocking chair scene. Everything about this film is tension, suspense, and terror. And cannot say enough great things about the amazing music by Harry Suckman or the amazing direction by the late great Tobe Hooper. Fantastic film. My favorite film of all time. So thank you so much, my fellow Fiends, for supporting my Countdown to Halloween series. I had a lot of fun doing it this year. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you guys think of the picks that I have for my top 10 horror films of all time. Thank you so much for supporting this channel and supporting this segment. If you guys want to donate to the channel, I have a Patreon account. Its link is down below. For as little as $1 a month, you can help support what I do here on the channel. Really would mean a lot. And I also have my social media links down below as well. So thanks so much everyone for watching. I hope everyone has a very safe and fun Halloween. And stay cool and stay scared, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.